Welcome to the Truth Factor with Renee, and we have some headlines to go over. I have, again, on my phone. Um, I've got to get used to this Joshua TV, and I'm not successful yet. I'm I posted those few videos, and hi Amos, how are you, dear? I posted a few videos, and I don't know, they're on there, but they're not on there. It's like people can't see them, and I don't know how to make them public. So I'm hoping I did something different today. Um, and so I have Joshua TV live again, and my YouTube going right now. Hi, Helen. How are you? How is everyone? And again, I only get to see chat for just a quick second, so kind of bear with me. To the end of it, I will go and pull up the chat, and I will we'll have our little chat, I guess you could say. Um, a lot of stuff going on, guys. Ever since I almost went live this morning about 6 or 7. But I was too tired. I had gotten a notification about New Orleans shooting. Hello, Miss Gloria. How are you? I had gotten a notification about New Orleans shooting, and there was also a sonic boom in London that woke people up. So, and then we have a situation on the border of Mexico that left 21 dead. So let's get into these headlines. Lots of stuff to go over. Not really a lot, but a few things. And of course, I didn't get to see your name. I think it said Maddie. Hi. It's going really quick here, guys. Anyway, so this article comes from Brett Baer, and this one says that Adam Schiff is giving the Democrats only 24 hours to sign impeachment report. And I haven't read this article, but I'm just curious. Everyone knows that the president is in, oh goodness sakes, London, right? Is he not over there for the summit? So what the heck are they thinking over here? I have no clue. Anyway, House Intelligence Committee Chairman Representative Adam Schiff says that the Democrat California is giving members of his committee just 24 hours to read and sign off on his report recommending the articles of impeachment against President Donald Trump. What is it going to do? Expire in 24 hours? Burn up like, a Mission Impossible movie? Give me a break. As Brett Baer News reported Friday, House Judiciary Committee Chairman Representative Jerry Nadler has previewed the report and suggested it will include claims of collusion with Russia as well as Ukraine, Russia's enemy. And as a reported Saturday, Schiff will provide the full report to committee's members on Monday, who must sign off on Tuesday in time for the first hearing in Nadler's committee on Wednesday, which will discuss the supposed constitutional and legal basis for impeachment. It is a foregone conclusion that Democrats will sign off on Schiff's report. Evidence does not seem to be the top priority for Democrats. A majority favored in the impeachment inquiry by August 1st, 11 days before the so-called whistleblower sent a letter to Schiff, complaining about Trump's phone call with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. However, as the Washington Examiner Byron York has noted, Democrats are in such a rush that they are leaving potential facts out of their examination. For example, they could wage a court battle to force former National Security Advisor John Bolton to testify. Bolton reportedly disapproved of the role played by the U.S. ambassador to the EU, Gordon Sondland, and Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani in relations with Ukraine. He could be a key witness. However, Democrats did not want to wait to hear what he had to say. As York noted recently in a column titled, Why the Rush Towards the Impeachment, Democrats are racing to get the job done by Christmas. They're not even trying to hear from some key witnesses like former National Security Advisor John Bolton because they don't want to take the time to go to court over it. York notes that Democrats are fearful of letting impeachment drag into 2020 presidential primary when it will pull several U.S. senators off the campaign trail. And they are also worried about the fact that the public support for impeachment is stagnant at best and slipping at worst after lackluster public hearings last month. But the rush has been a feature from the very beginning. On the day the House Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, announced in an impeachment inquiry, the president had already announced that he had declassified the transcript or readout of the phone call with Zelensky and that it would be published the next day. Pelosi did not wait for the evidence. Her decision was driven by political factors. Likewise, the Intelligence Committee has rushed its proceedings before all the evidence was available to most of its members of Congress or the public. It often published lengthy transcripts of closed-door depositions on the eve of the public hearings and only released the most exculpatory transcript after public hearings were over. Nadler has given Trump until Friday to respond to a request to participate either directly or through his counsel in the Judiciary Committee impeachment proceedings. And it says Joel E. Pollack is a senior editor. It tells you who he is. Anyway, so I just want to say this about this whole thing. You know, some people might be sweating these impeachment inquiries, this impeachment report, whatever. I say bring it on. When and if it ever makes it to the Senate floor, there will be a trial and all of their phony shenanigans will cease. One, they will not be allowed any of the testimony that they that they have permitted to take place in the at this committee level of the House, because it's all hearsay and not admissible in court. So I say, and then of course we all saw the transcript. We all heard it with our own eyes. They're making much to do about nothing. Of course, they're going to continue to twist it to their favor any way fashionable that they think they can. But you know, it is what it is. Anyway, I say good luck and good riddance with that. And again, guys, these stories are on my Wixit site. I was able to get all of the stories uploaded to Wixit. Anyway, so then we have an article from Sputnik News. It says Article 5, not F-35. French minister lashes out at the U.S. for forcing NATO members to buy its weapons. Earlier, French President Emmanuel Macron criticized the current state of alliance, calling it brain dead, and sparking heated discussions over his comments. Not all of France's NATO allies agreed with its president's account of the state of the military bloc. French Minister of Armies Florence Parly has leveled criticism at the U.S. practice of trying to pressure its NATO allies to buy American weapons and equipment above anything else. She argued that the alliance charter has an Article 5 stipulating that collective responsibility to defend each other, rather than Article F-35 stipulating the collective obligation to buy U.S. military products, in an apparent reference to the fifth-generation stealth jet that Washington has been promoting among its allies. She further stated that the country should not choose between NATO and Europe, but the two must rather complement each other. Parley also noted that the NATO can give European states their sovereignty, but that they must achieve this themselves. Today, Europe does not yet have the military tools to live up to what it is as an economic and political power. NATO will never be a tool of our sovereignty. It is up to the Europeans to build their own sovereignty. It will not happen in a snap of the fingers, she said in an interview with Le Journal du Dimanche. Parley has previously criticized the U.S. Push for NATO members to buy American, reminding Washington in March of 2019 that the key article in the Alliance Charter is called Article 5, not Article F-35. Upcoming NATO summit amid the brain-dead controversy. The minister commented on the recent statements by French President Emmanuel Macron, who called NATO a brain-dead organization, by opining that it was his call for a useful and helpful debate on the alliance fundamentals. She added that such a dialogue can take place as early as the week of the NATO summit, which will be held on the 3rd and the 4th of December in London. Macron made his comment where he said that the North Atlantic Treaty has been suffering from the brain death due to the lack of coordination and U.S. predictability under the President Donald Trump. In an interview with The Economist on the 7th of November, he namely expressed his doubt and how the value of the NATO's Article 5 could change in the near future and whether it will mean much. The brain death comment sparked discussions among NATO members, with Germany, Turkey, Poland, and the U.S. harshly criticizing Macron for his take on the alliance's current state. And of course he does. Hello, Vlad. How are you? Oh, thank you, guys. We got this at a Trump rally. Then we have from Sputnik News, the royal purge. Prince Charles reportedly plans to slim down the monarchy, kick out some family members. I wonder who. Could Prince Andrews be the first on that chopping block? I would dare say. SputnikNews.com. It says the news coming following reports that Prince of Wales could become king within the next 10 years, according to one scenario voiced by royal experts. Queen Elizabeth, 93, may trigger a Regency Act, which would see Charles taking on the roles of the king while the Queen remains the head of the state by title. Prince Charles is preparing to slim down the UK monarchy by kicking out some members of the royal family, the Daily Star reported, citing royal experts. The Prince of Wales is said to have long planned to make the monarchy well-run and cost-effective when he becomes king, but after a recent scandal involving Prince Andrew, the Queen's second son, and reportedly her favorite, we all have favorites, right? These people kill me. Charles, who is the first in line to the throne, reportedly jump-started his plans on reforming the Britain's monarchy, royal experts told the newspaper. Prince Andrew stepped down from the public duties after his interview with the BBC, in which he made several controversial statements that caused a great furore in the British public. The royal spoke with the BBC after pressure mounted on him to explain his ties with Jeffrey Epstein, the U.S. billionaire who was arrested and on charges of running a sex trafficking network of minors this summer and killed himself while awaiting trial in prison. Prince Andrew admitted that he stayed in Epstein's mansion's private islands, but categorically denied allegations that he had sexual intercourse with one of Epstein's sex slaves, Virginia Giuffre, who claimed she was forced to have sex with the royal when she was 17. After an interview was aired, Charles reportedly met with the Queen and persuaded her to sack Prince Andrew. The scandal, royal experts said, fueled the prince's desire to cut out royal outsiders. Prince Andrew is now at the picture. I don't see him ever undertaking royal duties again, and any hope that his daughters would is now gone. Brittany Barger, deputy editor of Royal Central, told the Daily Star, I think when it's all said and done, the monarchy will be Charles and his children and grandchildren. Charlie Proctor, editor of Royal Central, said that the Prince of Wales wants the engagements to be conducted only by members of his immediate family, his sons and their wives. Later, Charles's grandchildren would also join the firm. Proctor stressed that there are no chances of Prince Andrew's daughters ever becoming working royals and conducting engagements on behalf of the royal family. At the same time, he laminated the fact that the royal purge may see some members of the family go, in particular Prince Edward, the Queen's third son, and Prince Anne, who are considered to be the most hardworking royals. Anyway, and that is the news from England, I guess. And we shall go on to RT, guys. And this is kind of sad that I don't know what this old lady was doing there. But this article from RT says that watch, a French riot police knocks down an elderly woman during a rally for 80-year-old who died after getting hit by tear gas grenade. It says the French police have attracted some really bad publicity after knocking down an elderly lady during a rally in Marseille, an event being held to honor another 80-year-old woman who died after being hit by a police grenade. Over 1,000 people gathered in the southern city of Marseille on Saturday to remember Zainab Radoun, a resident of the city of Algerian origins. She died in the hospital last December at the age of 80, a day after she was hit in the face by a tear gas grenade launched by a riot police during a turbulent Yellow Vest rally. The demonstrations carried a large banner reading, "Tribute to Zainab, Batman kills, let's be Joker," and chanted, "We are the children of Zabine." They marched past the apartment in Marseille's old city where Radoun used to live. And things promptly got heated, and the rally escalated into scuffles between the protesters and the riot police. Law enforcement deployed tear gas to disperse the marches and repeatedly charged the crowd. One such charge hit an elderly woman with a wheeled bag who was being helped up some protesters across the street. Footage from the scene shows the police apparently knocking the woman down while beating the protesters up with batons. As the woman was left lying on the pavement in a plum of tear gas, a couple of protesters returned to help her, only to come in for 4 more police batons. Ultimately, the woman was led away to safety by paramedics. The timing of the disturbing scene couldn't be worse for the image of the French authorities, as it only seemed to prove the point of the protesters, who accused the police of using excessive and indiscriminate violence. Zainab Radini was injured on December 1st, 2018, as the city was griped by the Yellow Vest protest. She was not taking part in the disturbance. In fact, she was at her apartment and came up to the window to close the shutters when a tear gas grenade hit her in the face. Radine suffered multiple fractures and died in the hospital the following day due to the post-operative shock. As French prosecutors put it, the way the woman's case was handled promptly allegations of an attempted cover-up, further reinforced by conflicting autopsies results provided by the French and the Algerian medics. While the former said the woman had suffered a severe facial trauma and did not determine an actual cause of death, the latter explicitly blamed Rodini's demise on the grenade hit. The incident ultimately triggered a lengthy inquiry into the woman's death, which remains open. And I think that that's horrible that another 80-year-old woman would be hit. But the first one was completely, I guess, a accident as it went into her home. And this one, the woman was actually on the streets. And I'm just curious why she would have been on the streets in the midst of all this stuff, guys. That's kind of crazy, I would dare say. Just really crazy. I don't know if she was trying to be part of the protest or whatever, but pretty sad. Then we have Fox News. A World War II bomb forces 10,000 to evacuate Italian city. More than 10,000 people were forced to evacuate the northwestern Italian city of Turin on Sunday, as bomb experts work to defuse a 70-year-old World War II bomb. Residents in the central part of the Italian city were told to evacuate a red zone in the city's historic district, while another 50,000 in an outer perimeter were advised to leave their homes in advance or remain inside during the operation. The 500-pound bomb, which contained 140 pounds of dynamite, was dropped by the British forces in the city 70 years ago, authorities said, according to the local. Turin Mayor Ciraro Appendino was at the site and planned to visit residents who had been evacuated to buildings at the fairground near the edge of the city. She added that the detonator at the tail end of the device required deactivating and was the reason for the operation, according to the BBC. On Sunday afternoon, local media reported the operation to decommission the bomb was completed faster than expected, and residents within 2 impacted zones were allowed to go back home. Soldiers had been deployed in the area to combat theft and looting, according to La Stampa, while airspace above the city was closed during the operation along the Porta Nuova train station. An estimated 378,900 tons of bombs were dropped on Italy during World War I and World War II, according to the July 2018 report by the National Council of Engineers. Based on this data, we estimate that some 15,000 tons of unexploded devices are still in our territory, the report said. In April, 4,500 people in Regensburg were forced to evacuate during a controlled explosion of a 550-pound World War II bomb that was found in the South German city, according to the BBC. In 2017, Frankfurt evacuated 70,000 people after a 1.4-ton British blockbuster bomb was uncovered. Turin which is a population of about roughly 875,000 people, that's a lot of people, guys, is an important business and cultural center in the northern Italy and was the first Italian capital from 1861 to 1865. That's kind of crazy that they haven't deactivated all of these bombs. I would think that would be like one of the very first things that we would want to do is to deactivate these things. Okay. Here is the article from Fox News that says Mexico's gun battle near Texas border between suspected cartel members. Police leaves at least 21 dead. Hi, Mark. How are you? Good. It says 4 police officers were among nearly 24 people killed after security forces engaged in an hour-long gun battle with suspected cartel members Saturday in a Mexican town near the U.S. border, days after President Trump said he was moving to designate Mexican drug cartels as terror organizations. The shootout happened around noon in the small town of Villa Union, a town in Coahuila, still located about an hour's drive southwest of Eagle Pass, Texas. I know where Eagle Pass is. Coahuila State Governor Miguel Angel Rakim told the local media that 4 of the dead were police officers killed in the initial confrontation, and that several municipal workers were missing. On Sunday, the Coahuila state government said the security forces killed 7 additional members of the gang, bringing the death toll to at least 21. The armed group of the suspected cartel members stormed the town of 3,000 residents in a convoy of trucks, attacking local government offices and prompting state and federal forces to intervene. 10 alleged members of the cartel of the Northeast were initially killed in the response. And I'll show you this building of the municipal, if you can see it. I don't know. That's a bad glare, guys. You see all the bullet holes there. Crazy stuff. It says the armed group of the suspected cartel members stormed the town of 3,000 residents in a convoy of trucks, attacking local government offices and prompting state and federal forces to intervene. The 10 alleged members of cartel of the Northeast were initially killed in the response. Reglam told reporters that the state had acted decisively to take back the town, as videos of the shootout posted on social media showed burned out vehicles and the facade of the Villa Union's municipal office riddled with bullets. A damaged black pickup truck with the CDN of the Cartel del Norte, or Cartel of the Northeast written in white on its doors could be seen on the street in an Associated Press photo. It says the Rakim told reporters that the police had identified 14 vehicles involved in the attack and seized more than a dozen guns. 3 of the suspected gunmen were killed by security forces in the initial pursuit of the gang member as they fled into the rugged terrain, according to reporters. In the wake of the assault, the governor said the security forces will remain in the town for several days to restore a sense of calm. The town is about 12 miles from the site of a 2011 cartel massacre where officials say 70 died. These groups won't be allowed to enter the state territory, the government of Kohala said in a statement. Mexico murder rate has increased to historically high levels, inching up to 2% in the first 10 months of the presidency of Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador. Federal officials said recently that there have been 29,414 homicides so far in 2019. That's a lot of homicides, guys. Up from 28,869 over the same period last year. The release of the figures come at a time when Lopez Obrador is facing growing criticism for his government's hugs, not bullet policy of not using violence when fighting violent drug cartels. In early November, Mexico made international headlines when the drug cartel ambushed and killed 9 Americans, focusing world attention on rising violence in the country. The 3 women and 6 children, all members of a dual citizen families that lived in La Mora, a decade-old settlement in the Sonora state founded as part of an offshoot of the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints, were on their way to see relatives in the U.S. when they were targeted about 70 miles south of Douglas, Arizona, by cartel members. At the time, Trump called on the Mexico to wage war on the cartels. He told the author and the former Fox News channel host Bill O'Reilly in an interview posted last week his administration is well into the process to designate drug cartels as a terror organization. While the president did not indicate how the U.S. policy would change from past years, Trump said he told Lopez Obrador that the U.S. stands ready to go and in clean it out. On Friday, the day before the deadly gun battle, Mexico's president said he would not accept any foreign intervention in Mexico to deal with any violent criminal gangs after Trump's comments. The Reclaim on Saturday made similar comments to Lopez Obrador on how Mexico should handle the problem. I don't think that Mexico needs intervention. I think Mexico needs a collaboration and cooperation, he told reporters. We're convinced that the state has the power to overcome the criminals. The U.S. Attorney General William Barr is scheduled to visit Mexico this week to discuss cooperation over security, according to reporters. Sounds like an interesting weekend. Now, we have this here article from AP News, and I think it's kind of it goes kind of hand in hand to the it makes a whole lot of sense now why we have all of these increased shootings, especially over the weekend. According to AP News, the justice is going to take up gun case, though their disputed law has changed. It says the Supreme Court is turning to gun rights for the first time in nearly a decade, even though those who brought the case, New York City gun owners, already have won changes to the regulations they challenged. The justice persistence in the hearing the arguments Monday, despite the city's action, has made gun control advocates fearful that the court's conservative majority could use the case to call into question gun restrictions across the country. Gun right groups are hoping the High Court is on the verge of extending its landmark ruling from 2008 and 2010 that enshrined the right to have a gun for self-defense at home. For years, the National Rifle Association and its allies had tried to get the court to say more about gun rights, even as mass shootings may have caused the justices to shy away from taking on the new disputes over gun limits. Justice Clarence Thomas has been among members of the court who have complained that lower courts are treating the Second Amendment right as rights to keep and bear arms as a second-class right. The lawsuit in the New York began as a challenge to the city's prohibition on carrying a licensed locked and unloaded handgun outside the city limits, either to a shooting range or a second home. Lower courts upheld the regulation, but the Supreme Court's decision in January to step into the case signaled a revived interest in gun rights from a court with two new justices, Neil Gorsuch and Brett Kavanaugh, both appointees of President Donald Trump. Officials at both the city and state levels scrambled to find a way to remove the case from the justices' grasp. Not only did the city change its regulation to allow licensed gun owners to transport their weapons to the locations outside New York's 5 boroughs, but the state enacted a law barring cities from imposing the challenged restrictions. There is no case or controversy because New York City has repealed the ordinance and the New York State Legislature has acted to make sure it remains repealed, said Jonathan Lowy, Chief Counsel and Vice President of gun control group Brady's Legal Action Project. But those moves failed to get the court to dismiss the case, although the justices are likely to ask at argument about whether there's anything left for them to decide. Paul Clement, who is represents 3 New York residents and New York National Rifle Association affiliate challenging the transportation ban, said in an email that among the reasons the case remains alive legally is that the court frowns on tactical moves of the sort employed by the city and the state that are meant to frustrate the justice's review of an issue. In addition, he wrote that the city still views firearm ownership as a privilege and not a fundamental right, and it is still in the business of limiting transport and denying licensing for a host of discretionary reasons. In the event that the court reaches this substance of law, the city does contend that what it calls it's a former rule did not violate the Constitution, but that would seem to be a tough sell given the court's makeup with Gorsuch and, in particular, Kavanaugh on the court. Kavanaugh voted in dissent when his federal appeals court upheld the District of Columbia's ban on semi-automatic rifles, gun bans and gun regulations that are not long-standing or sufficiently rooted in text. History and tradition are not consistent with the Second Amendment individual right, Kavanaugh wrote in 2011. Gun control advocates worry that the court could adopt Kavanaugh's legal rationale, potentially putting it at risk regulations about who can carry guns in public, limits on large capacity ammunition magazines, and perhaps even restrictions on gun ownership by convicted criminals, including people convicted of domestic violence. This approach to the Second Amendment would treat gun rights as an absolute right, frozen in history, and not subject to any restriction as public safety demands, said Hannah Scherer, litigation director of the Guilford Law Center to Prevent Gun Violence. Reflecting the possible high stakes, more than 3 dozen supporting legal briefs have been filed. The Trump administration, 25 mainly Republican states, and 120 members of the House of Representatives are on the side of the gun owners. A dozen Democratic-led states and 139 House lawmakers back the city, in the addition of Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, a Democrat from Rhode Island. A vocal court critic filed a brief joined by 4 Senate Democratic colleagues that asked the justices to dismiss the case and resist being drawn into what he has called a political project. Whitehouse also included a warning to the justices. The Supreme Court is not well and that the people know it, and perhaps the court can heal itself before it is a public demand it be restructured in order to reduce the influence of politics. He wrote, quoting a public opinion poll showing support for such change. All 53 Republican senators responded with a letter urging the court not to be cowed by the Democratic threats. A decision is expected by late June. So they're going to hear this case from what I've read from this, and on Monday, but they're not going to give their answer till June. That is a long time to wait for answers. And then along the area of gun control, we'll go into what happened in New Orleans. According to KWWL.com, Channel 7 News, it says New Orleans police say 11 people were hit in an early morning shooting on the edge of the city's famed French Quarter. A police release says 2 people are in critical condition and no arrests have been made. Police Superintendent Sean Ferguson tells the New Orleans Advocate that the Times-Picayune that a person of interest has been detained. Police say 10 people were taken to 2 hospitals and the 11th was a walk-in. Further details haven't been released. The shooting took place on a busy commercial block of the Canal Street and has the streetcar tracks and is near many hotels. Ferguson says police quickly responded to the scene as patrols were heightened for the weekend's Bayou Classic, the annual Thanksgiving weekend rivalry football game between Grambling State and Southern University that played at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. And I thought that I saw somewhere, I thought I had a thing that said 2 people had died. Let me see. From this, here is Foxes. No, I don't know. It just seems like I'd seen somewhere where it said 2 people were had died from it, but anyway. And when I was looking for that article this morning, because of course when it comes up on my feed for my breaking news, it'll tell me who put it out, but sometimes you don't always get who put it out. And when I put in New Orleans, the first thing that popped up was this article that from NOLA, which is a magazine down there in New Orleans. Anyway, it says multiple robberies and attempted kidnapping in New Orleans following the Thanksgiving weekend shootings. Following an already violent start to the busy holiday weekend, multiple robberies and 1 attempted kidnapping are now under investigation. And the New Orleans police have released new information about a few of the 5 shootings that followed Thanksgiving. So they had 5 shootings in that area. Is that just not insane, guys? A man told police that he was knocked in the head and his own prosthetic leg by 3 robbers who stole money, cigarettes, and a bottle of liquor from him in the 2600 block of North Dorgenos Street around 1:20 p.m. Friday. Authorities said the 48-year-old man was approached by a woman he knew and an unknown man and a woman who accused him of owing him the money. They punched and kicked him before robbing him and then fleeing the scene. Other crimes reported in Metro New Orleans include an update: a man 45 who was shot at the First and Robertson Street around 11:50 a.m. Friday told authorities the shooter's name was Melvin. The victim went to the emergency surgery at University Medical Center and his current condition is unknown at this time. Update: a police said a man 56 was in his bedroom when he was hit by a stray bullet during the shooting reported in the 7,000 block of Bundy Road at noon Friday. He was taken to the hospital by New Orleans Emergency Medical Services. A girl was grabbed by 2 men who pulled up in a car in the 8900 block of Olive Street around 6:25 p.m. Friday. Police said one of the kidnappers exited the car attempting to kidnap the 7-year-old girl and threatened to rape her. She was able to escape his grasp, at which point they fled the area. An unarmed juvenile robbed a 28-year-old woman only to return her belongings shortly after the incident in the 4500 block of Saratoga Street around 8:40 p.m. Friday, according to the authorities. A woman was robbed by a woman she knew after they dropped her off and left her at Cleveland Avenue and South Saratoga Street around 3:20 a.m. Saturday. Police reported the 2 suspects drove off with the 20-year-old's bag. So many things. Yeah, 7 years old, and it's crazy stuff. And I would not have found those stories had I not been looking for the one story about the shooting incident in New Orleans. It is truly a sad time in which we live in, guys. Very sad. Um, anyway, so Zero Hedge has also an article that says India tests fire nuke capable missile amid Israeli model for Kashmir, a controversy. Following a major row over controversial comments from a senior Indian diplomat who, in a recent televised speech, called for the adoption of the Israeli model in Indian administered Kashmir. New Delhi has added fresh fuel to the fire by another successful test launch on the intermediate range ballistic missile, the Agni the Third, on Saturday. This comes after a series of prior short-range nuke-capable missiles tests over the past 2 weeks. It was the first night trial of the nuclear-capable Agni the Third surface-to-surface ballistic missiles fired from an island off of India's east coast into the Bengal Sea. Indian defense sources have touted that the nuke-capable ballistic missiles possess a range of over 1,862 miles and has successfully hit its target in the latest test. Tensions with Pakistan remain on edge over the months-long Kashmir crisis, precipitated by the Indian government revoking the autonomy of the state of Jammu and Kashmir, after which tens of thousands of Indian national troops poured into the Muslim-majority region in the political crackdown. And a new diplomatic storm erupted this week after a top diplomat called for India to enact the Israeli model is disputed Kashmir. Sandeep Chakravorty, India's consul general in New York, made the comment at a private event captured in a now viral hour-long video. Speaking on the ongoing security crackdown in J&K, the senior diplomat said, "I believe the security situation will improve. It will allow the refugees to go back in your lifetime. You will be able to go back, and you will be able to find security because we already have a model in the world." He was referencing that they occupied the West Bank in controversial Israeli tactics there, as well as the Palestinian East Jerusalem, also under Israeli administration. "I don't know why we don't follow it. It has happened in the Middle East. If the Israeli people can do it, we can do it," he said, adding that the current Indian leadership is determined to do so. Kashmir Muslim activist groups were quick to condemn the statement, as well as the top Pakistani official. The remarks further struck a deep nerve, again with the religious elements in the play. Strongly Muslim countries like Pakistan do not diplomatic relations with Israel and have repeatedly condemned the Jewish state expansionist tactics in the Muslim-majority West Bank, as well as the military operations inside Gaza. One Pakistani ambassador in the Middle East, Mohammed Cyrus Saeed Quazi, called the comments shocking but not surprising at all. "It has been apparent all along that they encouraged by the international community inability or unwillingness to address the situation in the occupied Palestinian territories. India is now following the same colonial strategy," he said. "It's but the latest in a series of dangerous tit-for-tat incidences, which even briefly broke out into the military action back in February over the heightened Kashmir crisis between the two nuclear powers." Anyway, so, and yesterday we had an article on India, and they were going to be moving 200 tanks to their borders. So I think India is not playing anymore, guys. They are done playing with Pakistan. I think things are going to start ticking up over there. This here article says, from Zero Hedge, says, "Will America's trade policy end up destroying the dollar?" America's tariffs against China are already showing signs of undermining the global economy and will create a funding crisis for the federal government when it leads to foreigners no longer buying U.S. Treasury debt and selling down their existing dollar holdings. A subversive attempt by America to divert the global portfolio investment from China by destabilizing Hong Kong will force China into a Plan B to fund its infrastructure plans, which could involve actively selling selling down her dollar reserve and hastening the introduction of new crypto-based trade settlement currency. The U.S. budget deficit will then be financed entirely by monetary inflation. Furthermore, the turn of the credit cycle, made more destructive by trade tariffs, is driving the global and U.S. economy into a slump, further accelerating all indebted government dependency on inflationary financing. The end result is the American trade policies have been instrumental in hastening the end of the dollar as the world reserve currency, ultimately leading to its destruction. I wanted just to read that. There's a lengthy article here, guys, and it is on the website that goes with that. Zero Hedge has been sounding the alarm. I believe he thinks that the dollar is, that, it's headed for its demise. I believe he thinks that there's just no turning it around. So there's a really good article here. It's got an introduction, then it's got the deep state strategy is stuck in the cold era, and then the foreigners sell U.S. assets, which we've been talking about that's been going on, and then the price of inflation will get out of control, the world-driven trade of isolationism. So it's a really good read. So, but it is rather lengthy, and but it is on the Wixit site, guys. Okay, so then we go to the article by Fox News, and this story broke last night during Bible study, but I wanted to give this article today. It says that South Dakota plane crash leaves 9 dead, 3 injured, authorities say. 9 people were killed and 3 others injured Saturday afternoon when a plane crashed in southern South Dakota, authorities said. The Pilatus PC-12 had 12 people on board when it crashed near Chamberlain, about 180 miles west of Sioux Falls. Shortly after takeoff, Peter Cudson of the National Transportation Safety Board told the Argus leader of Sioux Falls. Those killed were the pilot and 2 children. Horrible, guys. The Pilatus website states that the PC-12 can carry up to 10 passengers and is flown by 1 pilot. The plane was bound for Idaho Falls, Idaho, according to the Argus leader. Bertle County State Attorney Teresa Mall described the emergency responders as heroic. And again, that had broke last night, but again, I'm giving this update because not everybody watches Bible study. Then we have this article from heavy.com, and I don't know about you, but if I heard a big boom while I was sleeping and then found out that it was just a sonic boom, I think I probably would just fall out. According to the heavy.com, it says London boom caused by the Royal Air Force planes. A sonic boom from RAF planes echoed throughout North London and surrounding areas, according to the Metropolitan Police. The police said there is no cause for concern. The sonic boom occurred at around 4 in the morning in North London, and many in the area expressed their concerns right afterwards. Hertz Fire Control said that they received a large volume of calls from across the whole of the Hertfordshire regarding the boom. You can hear the sonic boom for yourself in the video posted below. Twitter has been ablaze with posts about the noise, and loud boom or explosion heard all over North London on my Twitter feed. Anyone out on foot, loads scared it was a bomb, windows shaken, etc. Please reporting from Wembley, Muscle Hill, Kenworth, Enfield, all over any news. Timothy Jones replied. A similar situation occurred in June of 2019 when the military aircraft caused loud bangs that were heard across the Essex as BBC reported. The noise sparked lots of emergency calls, according to the police. Residents reported feeling their house shaken after the sound was heard in Harlow, Epping, Chelmsford, and Stansted. The sound was due to the two RAF Typhoon jet escorting a Jet 2 flight to land because a 25-year-old woman was arrested on suspicion of assault and endangering an aircraft, according to the publication. The situation also led to a minor flight details for other flights. The sonic boom heard across North London follows the terrorist attack at Fishmongers Hall near London Bridge. The day before the attack left 2 dead and 3 injured, according to Heavy. The suspect, the 28-year-old Usman Khan, was attending the university prison rehabilitation conference, allowing students and prisoners to study together when he attacked people inside Fishmongers Hall before running out into the London Bridge, according to Heavy. Many citizens intervened in the attack, with one man grabbing a 5-4 Nart tusk from Fishmongers Hall to fight off Khan, while another tackled the suspect and disarmed him, according to our report. Armed officers then surrounded and then shot the suspect. Khan had a prior terrorism conviction and also had connections to Islamist terror groups, according to our report. He was among the 9 men arrested as part of the 2010 stock exchange plot, according to The Guardian. So, people over there in London got woke up to a big bang, and it was only a sonic boom, which that is, I would say, a much, a much needed release, but a relief, that's all that it was. But that being said, I can only imagine how everyone is on edge over there, because you know, earlier that day you had the situation that happened on the London Bridge, and then you hear a big kaboom. Yeah, I think a lot. I'm glad I'm not in London. I probably would have had a heart attack. Anyway, so, and as always, we always end Sunday's news with the NFL scores.
Yeah, they took your team off the air.
Well, whatever.
They did.
Why?
Because it wasn't a close game.
It wasn't a close game.
Yeah.
Oh, my hubby said that they took off my team off the air because it wasn't a close game. Go figure.
To put Denver on.
To put Denver on. Who cares about Denver? I guess the Denver fans. Anyway, the sonic booms. I don't know if anyone can see what Mark said, but Mark said that the sonic booms are happening because their Air Force is having to speed up so that they can intercede Russia, because they're flying too close to their zone, their airspace. Wow, that's rather interesting, Mark. Thank you for that information. Okay, so the NFL scores. We're going to start with Thursday night's Bears beat the Lions in a score of 24-20. Go Bears. Then we have the Bills beat the Cowboys on Thursday as well in a score of 26-15. We have the Saints beating the Falcons on Thursday as well in a score of 26-18. Now we get into today's games. The Titans beat the Colts in a score of 31-17. Ooh, that one must have been a good game. Only because the Titans, they think they something now, don't they? The Hill Jets flew so that they created sonic booms at the same time the fire department was going through. Uh-oh, that's crazy, Gloria. And then we have on Sunday, the Ravens beat the 49ers in a score of 20-17. We also have the Bengals beat the Jets in a score of 22-6. The Steelers beat the Browns in a score of 20-13. The Dolphins beat the Eagles in a score of 37-31. Well, the Dolphins, they have not been doing too good, so That's a surprise. For me anyway. The Redskins beat the Panthers in a score of 29-21. The Packers beat the Giants in a score of 31-13. I don't believe that's a surprise to anyone there. The Buccaneers beat the Jaguars in a score of 28-11, and the Rams beat the Cardinals in a score of 34-7. What the world was going on there? Cardinals was not there to play, were they? And then we have the Raiders losing. Well, the game's not over, but the score in the Raiders and the Chiefs. Sorry, MG, if you're watching this, I'm so sorry. The Chiefs are beating the Raiders in a score of 38-3. The Chargers are losing to the Broncos in a score of 17-20. So I guess that's the reason why they switched over to that game, because it's a little closer in score. And then we have the Patriots and the Texans play tonight, and the Vikings and the Seahawks tomorrow. And I've gotten a couple of little feeds come through here, and it says the AP says that the president of the West African nation of Burkina Faso confirms that 14 people have been killed in an attack on a Protestant church in the county's east. Oh, this is it. Also, we have the Nottingham police say a 20-year-old man has been taken to the hospital after being stabbed during a fight at a branch of Cineworld in Nottingham City Center this evening. So it seems like there's another stabbing over in Nottingham, guys. And there's also the president, like I said, 14 people been killed in an attack in a Protestant church. So those things just broke. The Nottingham broke, it says about 27 minutes ago. So it broke earlier whenever I was reading, and I saw the other thing came up with about the West African Protestant church situation. So sad times we're in, guys. Sad times. Crazy things going on. All these shootings, stabbings. We need to be praying for our country, and that these dynamic activity will cease. We need to be pulling together for what do you want to say? I say my feed ended over here. Let me see what it says. It's still streaming. I'm not sure what's going on. Anyway, so that's the headlines that I have for today, guys. I do hope everyone has enjoys the rest of their Sunday. We will, of course, be back at 8 o'clock for Bible study. I do have a rather interesting article that I found in the to the reference of the 144,000, and I am eager to share that tonight. So I can't wait to see everyone tonight at 8 o'clock for Bible study. I do hope everyone again does have a blessed Sunday, and just enjoy your time with your family. As you can see, so many things going on. Prayers for the situation with the cartel in Mexico, because that really can heat up. Yes, and we do, and that is exactly right, Gloria. And we need to be in prayer at all times. Well, thank you, Helen. Thank each and every one of you guys for coming and joining with me tonight. Let me see. I'm not using that no more. Ooh. I can look and see at the scores now, or see. Okay. Mark says he's gonna try and stay awake. Oh, sweetheart, if you need to sleep, honey, so just sleep. I mean, you can watch the replay. I know that it does help to be there, but I know that you have you're on a different time zone. Oh, you're so welcome, Gloria. You are so very welcome. And again, all of these articles are on the Wexit, so that, like I said, I really do encourage everyone to go read that article on the dollar from Zero Hedge. It is a good article. It just is rather lengthy, and I don't want to bore everyone with economics and an OPED. You know what I mean? It is 6:10 right now at my house. Oh, what time? You're asking Mark. Ha, I didn't see the mark. Ha 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 ha. Yes. Well, I'm sure it's hard, and that's what you. It is, so it is just after midnight there. So you are like you're just an hour earlier than me. It's 5:10 in Utah. Are you on, oh goodness sakes, not mountain time, but, what is that other time?
Pacific.
No, yeah, no, mountain time. Are you on mountain time? Because Pacific time is a different time than mountain time, if I'm not mistaken. Central Standard Time? No, you can't.
Central is what we're at.
Yeah, I'm in Central Standard Time. Yeah, I'm in Central Standard Time,
There's
Gloria.
Central Mountain.
And your mountain time. Okay, that's what I thought. Because I know that it's a different time on the Pacific time. And so, yeah. Okay. Just, it's kind of hard to keep up with all these time barriers that we have in the United States. So I can only imagine, being across the world at midnight. 7:12 p.m. where you're at. Where are you, Cody? You must be on the East Coast. You must be New York or in that vicinity. Gloria says, hello. He's in there cooking, getting ready for dinner. So he chimes in whenever he hears something worthy that he thinks he can put his 2 cents in without aggravating me these days.
You aggravate me all the time.
I know I do, but I love you and you love me, so there we go. Anyway, well, I do hope everyone has a blessed day, and we're going to go ahead and end it, and I will see everyone at 8 o'clock for Bible study, guys. God bless each and every one of you. Yep, upstate. See, I kind of know. We've traveled so much. When my husband was a supervisor for a construction company, we traveled everywhere. So I've gotten to be in all parts of the world, and the time change really killed us, or really killed me. Not so much him. He's good to go, but it bothered me. And that's how I know so much about different areas. And cat killed now. Yep, I see. I remember. New York, I thought so. Okay. So good to see you, Jose. We'll see you later, honey. We'll see you at 8. God bless each and every one of you. We'll see you at 8 o'clock. God bless y'all.